What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new episode of the Motivate, Grind, Succeed podcast. You see who we have on the show here? We have Maggie Perotin on the show. Maggie, she lives in the Canada, Toronto area with her blended family with 4 kids. She's a self-development geek. I mean, just like me, loves nature. She loves traveling and she loves good food. She holds an executive MBA from Jack Welch Management Institute and has over 14 years in experience in various corporate leadership positions. And as an international business and leadership coach, she helps service-based entrepreneurs make the income that they want in their business and become outstanding leaders in the process. Through her iconic Dream Plan Do coaching model, she supports her clients in becoming confident CEOs by aligning their mindset, business skills, and high performance habits. This allows them to transform their businesses from an unreliable source of income to a client attracting diamond. Ooh, those are some catchy words. We have Maggie Perotin on the show, everybody. Welcome, Maggie. Everybody give a round of applause for Maggie. She's here. She's here to talk to us, bestow her wondrous wisdom onto us. How are you doing today, Maggie?
I'm doing great, Rashan. After that introduction, I'm like all pumped. Thank you. It's such a great, thank you for having me, and amazing introduction. I loved it.
Absolutely, anytime. So as typical show fashion, before we get started onto all the actionable tips and the questions that I have for you today, let's just go with a little bit of a background. I know I gave a little bit of a background already when it came to where you're from and how you got into what you do, but I mean, only you could tell your story best. So if you want to go ahead and give us like a little bit of background about you, it could be long, it could be short, whatever detail that you wanted to, just so we can get a feel for like, who we're talking to, so we could be, a little more like a friendship / relatable level.
Okay. So I'll try to keep it, as short as possible. So as you said, I do live in Canada, in Toronto area. I'm an immigrant to Canada. I wasn't born in Canada. I actually am originally Polish. And I probably am like a last generation who even remembers what it is like to live under communist regime. I was 11 when it collapsed. So there were some fun memories from that area, that time. But after I graduated university, we were like, country wanting to be a westernized country, more, developed and so on. But at that time, the country was going through a lot of restructuring and reforms that it needed. And it was quite a high unemployment rate. So when I graduated, it was like 20% in Poland, right? So
wow,
quite high. But, I did... I graduated in a big city, and it's always like there's less unemployment in big cities, young and so on. So I did have jobs, but they kind of were not what I wanted to do down the line, and definitely not well paid, like $300 a month. And when you're young and you have like all those dreams, I want to travel, I would like to have a house, start a family, then you realize, okay, well, that's going to be hard if I continue earning like that. So I found out through a friend about Canadian immigration program and how it works. And I thought, that could be a great opportunity to try. So that's sort of how I ended up in Canada. I applied to that program. I got permanent residency, and I was 27 at that time. I was like, yeah, why not? No kids, no nothing holding you back. Let's try. So when I landed in Canada, I entered a corporate world into a facility management company. So yes, I did work with engineers, but more into mechanical engineers and construction engineers and things like that. So facility management industry, and it turned out to be, a very interesting industry. So I liked the variety in it and something always going on, and I ended up growing my career there. So I started as a customer service agent, picking up the phone from occupants of the buildings that we managed, and my toilet is broken, my light is out, I locked myself out of the office and I have a meeting, I need to get in. 2 different leadership positions, managing some construction projects, facilities, managing actually technology changes, doing business intelligence, and leading people throughout. And that's how I actually discovered my passion for coaching and developing people and helping them get to their full potential. That was sort of my thing that then led me, after corporate burnt out, led me to start my coaching business, right? Like just that burnt out was a moment where I started rethink how I want my career to go. And when I decided that I do want to branch off on my own and start thinking, okay, well, what do you want to do? I thought like, I actually love coaching and developing people. And yes, I have all that experience in business and I think it's fun. And I love business for its creativity and the solution, right? And like kind of figuring things out. So that's how I ended up, becoming a business and leadership coach.
Wow, what a story, man. We could take a long time to just unpack that story alone, but we do have to we do have to stay on the points that I brought you here for. Man, that's an impactful story. Wow.
Yeah.
Man, and then plus the way you said you were able to also work with engineers too. I mean, I'm an engineer myself, so I mean, kind of, it's little tugs on the heartstrings a little bit. I'm like, hey, you worked with us, really cool people, so it's cool like that. So with that, thank you for that nice introduction that you gave for us there, and so I guess we'll go ahead and get started with the questions that I have for you. So
Yeah.
we have. So pretty much, we're going to be talking about. First of all, we're talking about living a high performance lifestyle, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if you
Mm-hmm.
have a goal, how can you get to those goals, right? So, the first question I have for you about that is let's just get it out the way now.
Mm-hmm.
What is high performance? Like, we all have these different ideas of what high
Yes.
performance means, what it could possibly look like. Let's just get to like
Yes.
a bare bones structured. This is high performance, like baseline objective understanding.
Okay. Yes, because you're right. We all have our own theories about it, and there are a lot of misconceptions. So I'll tell you what I consider high performance and how I approach it and coach my client. So, high performance is really creating an intentional life where you are living and accessing as much of your full potential as you can. And this is through, kind of holistic approach to yourself in your life, right? So, for
Mm-hmm.
example, sometimes we think that high performance is just about working effectively and having your schedule filled with just work, 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 right? And that's not the case, because when you think about it, how do we create value? And especially in like 21st century, right? Like where it's really that information and creation is important, right? Our brain functions the best when we're rested, when we feed it well, when we give it space to think and access what we think, right? So high performance is taking care of yourself to be as healthy as you can as a holistic human being, so physically, mentally, and so on. Then it's also being very intentional in how you spend your time, right? If I have a goal and I want to get there, why do I spend 4 hours every day binging through Netflix and then being mad at myself that I do that, watching shows that I don't even like, for example? Right? And I
Oh
know that
man.
because I talk from experience.
Oh boy. Yep, I can't even be mad at you. I do that all the time as well. It'll be all the
Right.
time. I'll just be like, hey, this is a show. Half the time I don't even like the show. I'm just like, I mean, it's
Right.
something
And
on
you just
TV.
get into this pattern, right? But then like when I did that sometimes and I was like, really, there were moments when I'm like, what the hell are you doing? I'm upset with myself. Because then you're like, and it could be like in the evening when you're tired, right? And like you're not
Mm-hmm.
going to bed. So then you're tired next night, next day. And then at
Yep.
some point I started questioning that. I'm like, no, that has to stop. This is ridiculous. So now it's it's easier when you actually have some high performance habits that allow you to recognize maybe the things that you're doing that don't serve you in any way, whether it's professionally or personally, and then you start replacing that with some good habits, right? So okay, if I
Mm-hmm.
have a goal and I want to achieve it and I decide, let's say again, my clients are business owners, right? And I decide that this is the amount of time I want to spend working in my business that time without compromising personal time and time with my family and so on. Let me make sure that I spend that time the most effective way I can. right? That it's strategic, that I'm growing the skills that are getting me there, that I'm not throwing a lot of spaghetti on the wall thinking, is
And
it going
hope
to
seeing
stick
what
or not?
sticks. Right.
That's right, right? So that's for me what's high performance, right? And taking care of you. And again, definitely creating time to think. And when we talk about my model, that's where it comes in, because I've also noticed a lot of people just like go, 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 never take time to pause and reflect, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can gain so much just from the reflection, analysis, and thinking through certain things. And it doesn't even have to take that long. It just depends on what you're doing, what decisions you're making.
Right, right, and you also kind of reminded me of a really good point as well, of busy work versus productive work. I know
Yes.
we had a
Yes.
guest come on before, and we had that little bit of a discussion, and I was saying that there's a big difference between busy work and
Mhm.
productive work, right? Like if you're
Yes.
doing busy work, I think I even have a quote about that on my Instagram as well. Hashtag, shameless plug, guys, follow me on Instagram, motivate, grind, succeed. Just throwing it out there. But yeah, but yeah, there's a quote out there that pretty much I was talking about that there's busy work, right? Like
Mhm.
there's work you just do just
Yes.
because, like just to make yourself seem like you have like this full plate and
Yes.
this full thing of this full list of things to do versus
Yes.
productive work where it's like you might have a list of like 100 things to do. Like even better example, let me just take me, right? At my job, right? I use Microsoft to do all the time, right? It's a
Mhm.
Microsoft
Mhm.
software that is literally just a virtual to-do list. Constantly, I'm always adding tasks on there that I need to get done, right?
Mhm.
Some of them are the most important tasks, or some people on the internet will call it the MITs, the most important tasks,
Mhm.
and some of them are just like more busy work, right?
Mhm.
So my goal is to then figure out what, or at least what I'm trying to do now is figure out what are my top 3 things that I need to
Yes.
get done. What are the
Yes.
top 3 things that I have to get done right now that are super time consuming to my current position at my job, right? And then my thing is go through those 3, and then everything else will then fall into place, right?
Yeah.
Instead of just
Yeah.
doing everything and trying to just be like, I have to get so much stuff done.
Yes.
Instead, just say, what are my most important tasks?
Yes.
And then go through those.
And I would even say, like, I'm like not a big fan of never ending to-do list, because that's like, it's just like keep setting and you do some things but you add them and they never end. But even that, like for me, like, hey, if you have something on your to-do list that you were supposed to be doing for the past 2 months and you haven't got
Mm-hmm.
to it and the world hasn't ended, it's probably something you can just drop and not do at
Honestly,
all.
yes. Honestly, yes. That is what I've learned a lot of times too. Like a lot of times if there's something that's usually on my to-do list, especially, and it's just like this has been on my to-do list for the past like 3 months, I could probably drop this. Like
Yeah.
chances are it's either not gonna push the needle forward in what I'm doing, or it's
Yeah.
something that is so back burner. It's like maybe like
Yes.
a whole year or so down the line. I don't even
Yes.
need to worry about it right now.
Because think about it this way, like to-do list is that open loop for your mind to keep thinking about things and unmade decision. And that takes a lot of cognitive energy just to keep even thinking about it, because your brain is like, well, I have to do it. I have this list, right? I have a commitment with myself and so on. And that can take so much overwhelm and energy and time. We don't even realize how much, right? Then another thing for the busy work is that, of course, like the to-do list, they tend to balloon because of that not being clear. What is my priority? Where am I going? And what are the top overarching things that will get me there? And what are the actions within those goals that will get me there? And that can be you can get very clear on that and ditch a lot of stuff from the busy work. One more last point about the busy work is sometimes we do busy work because our brain is trying to avoid doing important work that might be hard. Maybe it's out of our comfort zone. Maybe we are just scared because we've never done this before. So our brain likes to protect itself and it will just go to comfortable tasks
Mm-hmm.
and make us feel like we're doing something like we need to be doing, rather than, and I will give you example from both worlds, I guess corporate and business, because I do both. I have experienced both. Rather than, let's say, think about addressing an issue with an employee or having that uncomfortable conversation with your boss or whatever, right? So we just ruminate and we do something else. Or if you're a business owner, oh, I don't like sales and marketing because I think it's salesy, so I would just go and keep updating my website forever. instead of getting out
Oh
there and
man.
actually marketing my business. So that's a couple of thoughts about busy work as well.
Oh yes, I definitely vouch with that last one because there's so many times just like I don't want to make any more Instagram posts. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. Let me just go update my website, even though it doesn't need updating. It's like let me
Yes.
just go update the website. Let me go. Let me go scroll through Instagram and see if I can find some more good content that I could react to or anything. And it's just like I have
Yeah.
more productive things that I could be doing right now
Yes.
instead of just doing all
Yes.
the busy work. Right. And
Exactly.
so yeah, so that's very true. Busy work versus productive work. I mean, I'm telling you, you you got to stay productive, right? You can't fill up your to-do list. And I know I fall victim to this all the time because I still have a to-do list right now for work chock full of stuff, but half of it I just ignore at this point. 'Cause I'm just like I'm just not going to get to it. It's
Erase
just
it.
it's
Erase
just
it from your mind. Don't let your brain think about it.
yeah, I'll probably just remove them from the to-do list,
Yeah.
honestly. Because otherwise, they're just going to sit there, and I'm just going to keep thinking about. I need to do this. I need to do this. I need to do this. And like
Mhm.
you said, it does take a lot of cognitive energy to
Yeah.
keep thinking about those things because you'll realize even if I do the productive work that I know in my head shouldn't make me this tired. For some reason, I'm still tired at the end of the
Mhm.
day, and then I realize it's
Mhm.
like because I'm still thinking and processing about how I'm going to take care of all these other tasks that are on my to-do list
Yeah.
still.
And also think about how it impacts you when you're not working, right? Then that's why it's sometimes very difficult to switch to like rest and recharge and quality time with friends, your loved one, whomever, right? Or even in yourself, because your brain keeps, and then when you have that space because you're doing something else, your brain will get you that, wow, but you have this and that, right? When you don't have that, then when you do take time for self-care and other like refill yourself as a human being in relationship, spirituality, whatever, you can actually recharge yourself, and you're
Mhm.
so much more productive, so much more innovative with ideas and how you do things and so on when you can recharge yourself. And it's very hard to do when you have those unfinished, unprocessed loops in your brain going on 24/7.
Absolutely, 100%. And that kind of went on to the second question that I had for you as well. And like, what do you think stops people from becoming more high performance? And we kind of already touched on that as well as just kind of being, excuse me, it's kind of being busy versus being productive, right?
Mhm.
And so, do you have anything else that you see as like a common pitfall of people as to why they would not become high performance, or maybe why they might falsely believe that they are high performance when they're actually not?
Yeah, so I would say there is couple, and first is being super clear on what you actually want. We very often know what we don't want and kind of know what we want, but we're not really super clear. And whether because we didn't take time to sort of think about it and decide, or whether because we're scared, so we're not in full belief that what we want we can actually create, even though we talk about it, right?
Hmm.
But when we're a full belief, if you believe that something will happen 100%, you might not know how long it will take you or how you will get there, but you truly believe that you'll take action towards it. So if you're not taking action towards it, question that. Why is it, right? Maybe
Hmm.
because I don't have a full confidence and belief, right? So getting super clear on what it is that I want and then working on, or, you know, believing in yourself that you can do it, right? Then once you have that awareness, then you'll be more inclined into action and thinking about like, okay, well, what is it that I need to do? How do I take steps? And that can make you realize, oh, maybe, I have a job, but I want to do something else, or I need to organize myself better in order to, let's say, have more time with my family, right? Like I want to spend more time with my family, but I'm not doing that because I'm constantly busy in my work and my school, whatever, right? So those are the things you can do. Then another thing, like, very once you're there and you're like, okay, but I don't have time and I think I'm organized, I just don't have time. Don't let your brain tell you that story. It's a story. I truly believe we can create time on demand. We have
Hmm.
more time than we actually think we do. And the great way to realize that is to track your time for a week. If you actually track your time from the moment you get up to the moment you get, to bed for a week, you will see that's just simple exercise how much time you're actually wasting on things.
Oh, yes, true. I mean, the common saying is we all have 24 hours in the day, and it is true. No one has an extra minute or an
Mhm.
extra second,
No,
But it's still funny how some people say, "Oh, I don't have time. I don't have time," and I catch myself saying that a lot of times too, just saying like, "I don't have time for X, Y, Z, or to do a certain kind of a thing." But it's more. But then I'm starting to realize: is it rather I don't have time, or rather is it just not important enough to me for me to make
exactly.
time for it?
Exactly, right? So own it. If it's not important, just tell yourself, I don't want to do it. That's why I'm not. Rather than telling yourself a story, I don't have time, and taking that power away from yourself, like giving it to some like time magically does something to us. No, we're in control, right? We create our time for what we have. So yeah, just say, hey, like I don't want to do it. It's not on my priority list, not a problem, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
if it was, think about it really, like when we get a pet, like if you ever had a pet, you get a dog, like your time is full before you got a dog. Like you never, it's not like as adults, we sit around there saying, oh, I'm so bored with my time. I don't know what to do with it. Like just time tends to fill itself up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yet, when you decide to have a pet, you make a commitment to that creature 100%. You really want it. And now you create how many hours a week to take care of the pet, to walk
Mm-hmm.
it, to feed it, to take it to different places that it needs to go to. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
automatically you figure it out. And that's what it is. Like if you really want to do something, you can figure out the time to do it.
Absolutely. So, like I said, if it's important to you, you'll find a way to get it
Mhm,
done. You
mhm.
you you will do it regardless. Like you'll take time off of work. You'll take half days. You some people probably even go so far as to like relocate before they even get a job, just knowing they need to be close to maybe their pets if they have a family and they have like a young child they need to take care of, and they're going back and forth to work. If they're doing that, they're gonna adjust because that child's important to them, right? They're going to adjust with those things. So absolutely. So you just have to make time for what it is that you actually think is important and stay productive. Stay productive, guys. Not
Yeah,
busy. Stay productive.
yeah. And there are some habits that can help you, like planning, and we can talk about it more, but like planning and so on. Like I remember, after a burnt out that I went through, I actually signed up for high performance coaching, and that helped me s- tremendously. And I thought of myself as an organized person. I was a young mom, had two kids, had a career going on, and was kind of like managing both. But after those habits, like my productivity skyrocketed, and not only productivity, but actually my stress levels went down, and I felt much more in control,
Mm,
much more, just more grounded, and so on. And then I was doing what that allowed me to do is do my executive MBA and start my business on the side and still manage the family and do other things I was doing on top of the, you know, full-time leadership job. That was quite demanding, right?
absolutely. Just as like a quick aside with that, guys, there's another actionable tip for you. If you want one tip on how to be more high performance, get off of social media. If you're just mindlessly scrolling through social
Yes.
media, it's not doing you any good. I'm telling
Yes.
you right now, it is literally
Yes.
the biggest waste of time that you will ever get
Biggest
in your
stealer
life.
of
Like,
time.
man, the amount of times that I can say in the past before I went on this high performance journey that I'm still on and everything, and this self improvement thing, I would spend probably a grand total because on my phone I could see like my screen on time and
Mhm.
what app spent the most amount of time. Man, some days I spent like 3 hours on Instagram, and I'm just
Mhm.
like, what was I on Instagram for 3 whole hours for? Like I don't even remember like
Mhm.
90% of the stuff that I saw.
Yeah.
Like consciously, I don't even remember.
Yeah.
It was just 3 hours down the drain. So once I got rid of that and then swap that out for now what I'm doing on Instagram, which is more producing or creating content rather
Mhm.
than just consuming it. Now I realize that number one, my time is more spent trying to create content for Instagram
Mhm.
and the sorts, and
Mhm.
my time is a lot less spent trying to consume. My consumption of Instagram content has gone from like 3 hours a day to maybe 30 to 45 minutes a week now. And that has given me back so much time to be able to do so much more things. So
Yeah.
get off social media.
Yeah. And when you do the awareness exercise and you track the time, you know exactly how much time you're wasting. Yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
that could be like, because sometimes, like, yeah, we kind of know it, but we still don't do it, right? Because it's kind of like in that back thought that, it's not that bad. But when we have on black and white how much time it takes us, it creates that like oh my God, I need to do something, right? So it just creates that moment where you realize, okay, something's got to change.
Hmm. Absolutely. I love how we're just flowing through these questions right now. Can we kind of answer the next question I had again? And that was, what steps can we take to achieve goals quicker? And there you go. Whatever goal you have, is just start with, as you said before, Maggie, just time tracking. Just
Yeah,
start by saying, what is your goal? Make it crystal clear, like you said before. Make it crystal clear. And then once that goal is crystal clear, then you start time tracking. How much time am I spending on this activity? How much time am I spending on that activity? And you said do it for, I think you said a week, right?
yeah. A
Yeah.
week is a good indicator. Yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah,
so there you go, guys. So do it for a week, or do it for a week, more time if you need to, not less, but do it for more if you need to. Time track, see what times you can cut back from, and be hard on yourself. Be kind of hard on yourself. Don't say I think I can, I think I can. No, you got to
yeah.
be cut and dry. Is this helping me? Yes or no? If not, we got to cut back the time. Like that's the only way you're going to be able to start making some
Yeah.
progress.
Yeah. And then another thing, like I would say, like in the goals in terms of like, let's say, hey, you want to go at a certain job, or you want to be promoted to a certain position, or you want to do something else. Also, when you realize, okay, this is what I want to do, now I figured out how much time I have or how much time I can create and, create it, then think about, okay, what are the actions, but really that will take me there, right? So, like,
Hmm.
create that strategy. And sometimes it's easier to think, okay, if I grouped my actions in those three kind of buckets, then I have those three overarching goals. So I'll always make sure that I do. So, for example, for business, okay, one of them will be marketing, right? My visibility. I'm a new business. I got to get out there visible. Maybe the second thing is, okay, servicing the clients, whether I have a product, whether I have a service, I need to make sure that I deliver good service there. And there's some things going on in there, right? If I have a product, how am I going to ship it? If I have a service, how am I going to deliver it? What's my pricing? All that, right? And then
Hmm.
the third one could be something else, whatever, right? But when you have that and you're pretty clear, okay, what are those main overarching goals that will get me there? And now I can align my actions. Okay, so marketing, what am I going to do? I'm going to be on Instagram. I'm going to have a podcast. Okay, this is what I need to do, right? This week or today or whatever. So when you're that clear and you keep on that track, also it's much less likely you will get distracted by other things. Oh, what about this and what about that? Because that's normal. We have a lot of distractions going on. People have opinions about what we're doing, what we are supposed to do, what we're not supposed to do. And keeping on track and believing, trusting yourself, right, that you
Hmm.
know what's best is key. Now, the one thing that I do want to say, but it's also at the same time recognize that now that I know how I am getting there and what are my actions, if there is something that I know I need to do, but I don't have a skill yet in it, grow it. Okay.
Mm.
Confidence, it's not just believing in yourself, I can do it all by my own and I will figure it out and so on, but it's also a little bit of humility to know, yes, I can 100% do it, but there might be some gaps in my skill, and the fastest way to get to my goals, it's actually learn those skills. Ask an expert, learn it, apply it, master it, and go on, right? Because without it, again, it's a lot of throwing spaghetti on the wall and trying what sticks and not even, and then failing and not even knowing why and not learning from that failure. Like when I talk about failure, I say, okay, there's a strategic failure that, again, when apply skills like you're learning and the theory, but then in practice not everything always comes out perfectly, and I will give you an example. But if I assess it, I can learn what's not working and then improve it the next time. So that failure still gets me closer to my goals, as opposed to I have no idea what I'm doing, I'm just trying things out and I don't even know why it's not working. That doesn't get you anything anywhere. If anything, it depletes your energy. And the best example for that, like think about athletes, right?
Hmm. Yep.
If I'm a, I don't know, figure skater, tennis player, basketball player, whatever, I can have a theory of how to shoot like 3-pointer, right? But it doesn't mean that I will shoot a 3-pointer the first time ever and the second time ever 100% of the time,
Right.
right? I know what to do, but now I need to practice to get really good at it. And as I practice, then I can look, okay, well, I shot the 3-pointer and now I didn't score, right? Why is it? Oh, maybe it was my wrist. Maybe it was the way I went up, right? Maybe it was something else. And now you can work on those skills. But if I don't know what to do, I don't have a strategy because I didn't learn it, then I would just keep shooting randomly. I'm not going to get better because of it, right?
hmm That's
So,
also the importance too, as you mentioned before, of also having like an accountability partner, a coach, or something like
mhm,
that to be able to kind of show you. Because, like you said, with
yeah,
the athlete example, you could be someone practicing free throws and three pointers all day, and you think you're doing okay for yourself, but yet there's a coach or someone who's telling you, oh, you need to work on your footwork. Your feet aren't quite in
yes,
the right location. When
exactly,
you actually launch the ball, you don't follow through fully when you actually let the ball get fully released, or you need to
exactly.
working on the arc or on the angle of the ball as it goes towards the net, right? All these things that you think you're doing okay, and you might be doing okay, right? But who wants to be okay, right? That's called being
Exactly.
average, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about high performance here, right? You didn't come
Yes.
listen to this to be average. You came listening to be high performance. So that
Yes.
means you want to get somebody who's going to be there, who's been in your shoes, who's been there, who's had the experience, who says, hey, I've been here for 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years. I know what works. I know how these things work. I know what spaghetti noodles stick. So here's what you actually need to do to be able to up your game. And let me tell you guys, when you do that, you can fast track your way to whatever goal you
Yes.
have so
Yes.
quick, it's not even funny. Instead of spending the same 5, 10, 15, 20 years that you would have taken by doing it yourself, you just save yourself that time. And you, instead of spending 5 years, you might have spent like 5 weeks. So now you have
Mhm.
all this time back that you can then find another weak spot of yours and improve on that, and find another weak spot
Yeah.
and improve on that.
And
And
just get better results faster and go so much faster, right? Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so transitioning on to the next topic that I want to talk about. I did want to get this high performance lifestyle and all this information out first so that you all can understand, like, hey, before we get to this next part, which is going to be transitioning from a 9 to 5er to a solo worker slash
Mhm.
entrepreneur person, I wanted to make sure I drilled home first that before you just jump in saying, I want to be an entrepreneur, I want to be a solo
Mhm.
person, this, you can, sure, why not? But it is all about the mindset first. You have
Yeah.
to be in the proper frame of mind. That's why I brought up the high performance thing first. Because if you don't have some of those high performance habits in first, your chance of failure is going to be really, really high. Like business, solo work, entrepreneurship, as I'm going to let Maggie
Mhm.
talk about here in a bit. I'm pretty sure you can vouch to it too. It's difficult stuff. It's not easy whatsoever. So
Yeah.
so you being able to put in these high performance mindsets that we talked about first, and these actionable tips that I've been giving you and that
Mhm.
Maggie's been giving you, I guarantee your chance of success is already going up. See, we're like your coaches here, right? We're giving you
That's right.
some we're giving you some information that you can use. That way you could be able to actually say, okay, before I go head over heels into this business endeavor, let me take like a month or
Mhm.
2 months and focus on my confidence. Let me make sure my goals are crystal clear, right? Because if you go
Mhm.
into business and you have no crystal clear goal, people have no idea what to follow with your business. If it's like a coaching business or a service-based business, or even like me having this podcast, and I didn't
Mhm.
have a clear vision mission statement, you
Yeah.
all wouldn't know what to tune into because I don't know where I'm going. So why would you follow somebody who doesn't know where they're going?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's why I brought up the high performance one first. So now as we transition into the 9 to 5 slash solo entrepreneur, let's
Mhm.
start off again. Let's start off kind of simple. What was it like back when you were living the 9 to 5 lifestyle? What was it like for you?
What was it like for me? It was, I'm not gonna say that it was horrible and so on because, throughout my career, I actually learned a lot of different skills that I'm using now. Now, of course, did it have its downsides? Yes, but I believe nothing is perfect, right? Even in entrepreneurship, there could be challenges and so on. It's just picking what you prefer and what you like, right? But I did get to the point in my career. So throughout my career, I enjoyed it. I've grown again in an industry I didn't even have um, any education in. As I said, it was kind of like more technical, engineer based. My education is more business and kind of humanities and so on. Um, and I've grown in the industry pretty well and I enjoyed it. But I've gotten to the point where things that didn't resonate with me is, certain decisions being made above me without consultation, and then me and my team having to implement them and seeing all the holes in these decisions, and sometimes feeling like we're being set up for fail, right? That no matter what you did, that actually what led to my burnt out at some point. It's like no matter what we did and how hard we worked, we just weren't set up for success. There was no resources, the decisions were made, they weren't thought through, and so on. And at some point I would say, I want to make my own decisions and live the consequences of my own decisions, even if those decisions are not going to be perfect all the time, right? I that was one of the things. Another thing for me was what kind of drove me to was that flexibility and having really full agency over my time, right? Even in my business now, it doesn't mean that when you become an entrepreneur, you don't work. Okay.
Yep. Common misconception,
Right.
guys. Common
Yes.
misconception. If I could jump
That's
in
a
for just
misconception, right? Like, oh, I'm going to
yeah.
be an entrepreneur. I'm just going to hang out an hour here and an hour there, and my business will magically grow. No, you still need
No.
to have that discipline and high performance habits, especially in the beginning, to get the business on the ground and work. But of course, you have so much more flexibility in how you structure that, right? As opposed to when you're working for somebody else and you need to adapt to what they think is the best thing for their business, right?
Right.
So that was the second. And I have to say, like, one of the third, so those are the three mains. The third one was actually my ability to earn, okay, money. Like, it's not like, I had a good career. And again, I ended up having like a 6-figure salary by the time I left, but I saw the ceilings that were created. Again, maybe for the best of the business, but hey, you cannot get promoted more than once a year. And even when you're promoted, it's only 10% you can get increase, right? And as I was growing, also I was like, I'm not an engineer, it's gonna be harder. And I'm relying on somebody's maybe opinion of what I can do or cannot do. Right. So like for me, that just became too limiting. And I was like, I don't want to break those ceilings for, in the corporate world. And I truly believe that when you have your business, you create your limits. You truly, when you have a vision, you're very strategic, you are in the right mindset, and you're ready to figure things out. There's no limit to how much you can grow your business. It doesn't mean it will happen overnight. It doesn't mean it will happen, in 3 weeks. There might be some timeline longer than you expect, but there is no limits, right? You could be growing 300, 500% every year, right? Possible.
Yeah.
Okay. So those were sort of my, I guess, 3 main things that got me to move to entrepreneurship. And then
Absolutely.
just doing more of what I loved. Like, I guess another like very important thing was doing more of what I love and I'm good at, but not just what I'm good at, but I don't love, and it just stresses me out, right? Like coaching, this is what I love. I truly love helping people grow, and I was doing less and less of that as I was growing in the corporate career, and I wanted to do more of that as well.
Absolutely. So that's another thing that I wanted to definitely to touch upon as well, as someone also who currently works in the 9 to 5 business space. I know gurus will sometimes say, "Oh, 9 to 5, skip your 9 to 5, quit it, become an entrepreneur, do this, work your own hours, do that." And to an extent, there is a little bit of truth to what they're saying. I'll give them that. There's a little bit of truth, right? You can work your own hours. You do have some more time flexibility, and as Maggie said, you do not have that cap and that ceiling of how much you can make. However, there is still nothing wrong with a 9 to 5. If you enjoy your 9 to 5, like me, I enjoy doing what I do on my 9 to 5 job currently. So why would I go and just say, oh, I'm just going to leave because that's what some guru said? Like, if you enjoy what you're doing, there's no real reason to push yourself to go into this entrepreneurship thing like head over heels and just leave everything else behind, right? Like, take it in slow incremental steps. If you if you have no type of desire at all to leave your 9 to 5, that's fine too. You can do your entrepreneurship thing on the side. Like I was telling Maggie before the show, right? Like I'm an engineer by day and a podcaster by night and weekends, right? And that works well for me. And so And so if you're in that kind of a position, you're just like, oh, I keep hearing all over the internet, I should quit my 9 to 5. I should do this. I don't really know if I should do this. Then don't just keep your 9 to 5, and then work on the thing on the
Yeah,
side.
and especially when you enjoy it, like, and the thing is, like, you can, even for me, when I started my business, I ran it on the side for 2.5 years because I still enjoyed my career and I wasn't 100% sure if this is, I wanted to try. I had an inkling, okay, this is what I want to do. But at the same time, I have kids, I have mortgage, I have bills to pay. And trust me,
Mm-hmm.
if you just quit blank and you haven't even tested your business idea and you don't have a financial plan, how you're going to finance your business, you can put yourself in a lot of trouble financially, but also mindset wise, a lot of lack and attachment. And when you're trying to sign the clients, when you're attached and needy, that actually what repels people. You
Mm-hmm.
want to be in a mindset of sufficiency and enoughness of things to be able to attract clients. So when I was running my business on the side, part of it was me actually building confidence in myself and realizing that yes, I can do it, I can be successful, and getting ready also, like, financially and kind of family wise, figuring out, okay, when can I do it that it will make sense for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I started my business, honestly, I wasn't 100% sure that I will grow it to the point where I will leave my job. At some point I was seeing that, right, as I was growing and so on, that then I there was a moment where I'm like, yes, okay, this is actually what I want to do. I love it. And the more I do it, the more I'm sure of it. Yes, okay, let's now prepare a plan. How can I do it in a way that it won't affect negatively my family? But when I really, really started, that wasn't my thought. It wasn't like, oh yeah, like this is, I'm sure it will succeed. So there is many ways to do anything you want. There isn't one perfect way. And I would definitely discourage you from quitting just as a knee jerk reaction without having a financial plan, especially when you have a family to support or you need to support even yourself and you don't have savings or some other way to finance. Because, being even like we talk about mindset, like switching from an employee mindset to a CEO mindset, there is a few things you need to consider. And one of them is you got to invest in your business.
Oh
In order
yes.
to grow, it's not like, oh,
Oh
I'm
yes.
just going to do the work and drain all the money and spend it. Just like when you're an employee, you're getting it. And then most of that you spend, unless you're investing maybe in real estate and so on. But most of it is for your consumption.
Mm-hmm.
The income you bring into your business, some of it has to stay in business and you need to invest it. Otherwise, you're not going to grow and it's not going to be successful. And that's a mindset that a lot of people take quite long to make that switch. And that's why they also grow slower, right?
Absolutely, because definitely, I said with me as an example, when I'm switching from my employee mindset, I know, okay, I'm an employee, I'm making a steady paycheck. I know every 2 weeks
Mhm.
on when I wake up on Friday, I'm gonna get like an X amount of money, right? And I know this is gonna be all spread out like you said, it's all for consumption, right? I'm using it on the bills, I'm using it on gas, I'm using it on my
Mhm.
car, I'm using it on car insurance,
Mhm.
all these kind of things, right? I'm using it on all those things, but I know twice a month I am going to be
Yes.
getting a paycheck.
Yes.
When you're an entrepreneur or you're a self-employed business owner or whatever it is, unless you're in that position where you're using your 9 to 5 to fund this side
Mhm.
business, and if it's completely self-sufficient from anything else, the chances are you're not going to get that steady paycheck of exactly this certain amount every single time, right? Some days you might be a little high, some days you might be a little bit lower. That's one of the risks that you're going to have to take with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. And as you grow, you can get to a certain base and that base grows, but especially in the beginning, you could go months without making any income,
Mm-hmm.
right? In the beginning. And you don't know that. Yeah, there are some businesses that start making income right away. Again, depends on what you do. Um, but you could go without, right? So definitely budgeting skills are becoming like it's very important in the business. But knowing that and then growing again, as you grow the business, and if you're really strategic, you will create a base that will work. So you're like, okay, I'm sure every month I'm making like 2,000, 5,000, 7,000 as I grow, because you develop the skill, you develop the client funnels, and but then there will be always that variation where, hey, some months will be higher, some months will be lower.
Right.
But again, we talked about it. When you're strategic and you learn and you really become that CEO of your business, then you can figure it out. But in the beginning, especially, that's not the case. And you're definitely not sure of getting every 2 weeks a steady paycheck.
Right, exactly. Right, yeah. And so I want to touch on another thing that's kind of like a subtopic of business as well. And I know it's a very important part of business, as it's one that I'm definitely trying to work on improving myself in my with my podcast and everything. And that's branding and marketing,
Mhm.
right? So first of all, there are two different words. So we're gonna assume that there's a difference here between
Yes,
what is branding and what is
there is a
marketing,
difference.
because a lot
Yeah.
of times you'll hear people kind of conflate the two. And so similar to how I asked you about the high
Mhm.
performance lifestyle, like what is the baseline understanding of what is branding and
Yes.
what is marketing?
Marketing. Okay. So they work together. That's why, or they intertwine each other. That's why people get confused. But branding is getting really clear on who you are as a business, your mission, your vision, meaning where do you want to go? Mission is how are you making impact in the world? How are you helping your clients? And the values. So where is this coming from? What are the behaviors that you want to, your perception? What is that your clients want to, what you want to be known for, right? How do you want your clients to experience you, from marketing when they get to meet you to when you deliver service or product and so on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's really the foundation of branding. And then there's a visual part of branding, like your logo, like your color, so you're recognizable, right? Some like bigger brands go into even branding in the way they speak. So there's certain words that they use and certain words that they don't use, right? Like, for example, luxury brands are not going to use BOGO sale, cheap, and things like of this
Right, yeah.
nature, right? Whereas the brands that are more like Walmart, or brands that like, you know, rely on sale and so on, there will be certain words that they use and certain maybe they don't, like luxurious and one of a kind, certain things. But that's the advanced. But really truly, that's what branding is, right? Figuring out, how do I stand out, what's my competitive advantage, right, over competition in the market or people that are doing similar things, what is important to me, what are my core values, and what's my mission and vision. Okay, that's branding. Now, it comes through marketing, but marketing, in the simplest term, is you being visible to your ideal clients and starting their relationship with them, right? Because for
Mm-hmm.
people to buy from a business, they need to like you, know you, and trust you. And marketing is the first impression and the first interaction they have with you, right? They get to know you, you're visible, so they get to figure out, oh, what is Rashawn doing? Let me follow him a little bit. And as Rashawn is creating value and marketing his business, they get to know him a little bit better. That's where branding comes in, right? You want to talk about your
Mm-hmm.
values and what you're all about from time to time, because that's how you create a little bit of a trust and likability, right?
Right, yeah.
So that's what marketing is, right? And then it's creating that space for your ideal client to get to know you, and then through that, creating safety for them to buy, right? So then
Okay.
marketing and sales is really that. People say sometimes like, oh, but marketing and sales feel icky and I don't want to, I don't want to do it. But like, how are you going to meet your customers? If you love serving them, you should love meeting them and talking to them and building relationship, right? You don't go out there and randomly give people out money without knowing them, right? We love our money.
Right.
We work hard for our money. So when
Mm-hmm.
we part with that money, we want to make sure that we get the value, right? So marketing is conveying to your ideal client the value you can give them and you offer them. So that's
Oh,
simple
uh,
terms.
Yes, very good. Because I definitely I'm one of those people that some topics I'm just like explain it to me like I'm 5 years old because some topics they can get so convoluted and they can have
Yes.
so many different levels. I mean, marketing in itself it can go. It's such a deep rabbit hole of different ways you can market and
Yes.
different ways you can test
Yes.
things. Like it is
Yeah.
so complex. It is insane. Like just start at the baseline, get
Mhm.
a general understanding like Maggie just gave us, and then
Yes.
from there, once you grasp that then you can go and go down
Then you
whatever
can
rabbit
figure
hole you
out the
want.
strategies and how to do those strategies and so on. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I definitely just wanted to touch on that real fast because that is a very important part of business in any, if any sort, because like you were saying, Maggie, if you don't get yourself out there, like, yes, it could feel like gross and be like, oh, I don't like salespeople. They're just icky salespeople. They're just trying to get over on one on you and try to upsell you on everything. Some are. Not gonna lie, some are. But if you do marketing correctly and
Mhm.
properly, it won't feel like that. It'll feel like you're literally just trying to do basically outreach, right? Because if you don't do any marketing, you don't do any outreach, you don't get yourself in front of your potential clients slash customers slash whoever you're trying to reach, no
Mhm.
one's going to know you exist.
Yeah.
And so you could be putting out the best content consistently, the best coaching programs, the best courses, the best YouTube videos, the best podcast episodes, whatever it is. You could be doing the best. You could be the best in the business. But if
And
no
nobody
one
will
knows
know
who
you
you
exist.
are,
Yeah.
it is
And
what
then
it
you
is.
won't help anybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, think about this way: if you truly believe that you can help people, why wouldn't you tell about them? Like, remember last time when you were like so impressed by a movie or by a book that you would like anybody who would listen to you, like, oh my God, you have to see this movie. Oh my God, you have to read this book. What were you doing? Marketing for somebody else for free.
Mm-hmm.
So when you like, do you truly believe so much about the value about your products and offers that you offer and how much they can help your clients? Because if you do, you would be doing the same. You'd be like, oh my God, like people need to know. And it's not about me convincing people who don't need any of that and don't want to buy it. It's about me putting out there for people who already want it, who's already looking for the solution to whatever my offer, is to whatever problems. And I just want them to show that mine is the best for them. Right.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I know we're starting to get close to time, but I do have two more topics I wanted to quickly touch upon. And so this kind of leads well into the next one I wanted to touch on. So I'll just shorten this one a little bit. And in order to be, when you're coming out with your business and everything, right? And you want to be someone in the market, you want to be seen as like, of course, everybody does want to do this, but you want to be seen as like the head in that market. You want to be seen as the leader, like the paving the path forward in that market. However, as we talked about before with the high performance lifestyle, it's something that you have to cultivate, right? You have to cultivate those leadership skills, cultivate those leadership
Yes.
abilities.
Yeah.
So, my question then is what are some of the positive qualities that are in a leader that you see that in a leader that should be developed in people?
So definitely again, belief in yourself, right? So confidence that you can do it, belief in the ability you already have, and knowing that that's enough to help already people. Okay. So whatever you have already, whatever you're passionate about, whatever you want to put out there, that's enough to help some people. Maybe not all of them, but some. Okay. And those will be your first clients. Then listening to understand. So, to be
Mm,
able to really target your solution to your clients, you need to listen to them. You need to
mm-hmm,
spend time kind of talking to them through your marketing, even, right? And understanding what do they need? Like, how are they talking about those solutions? And then learning how to communicate in a way that they understand. Just like you told me, Maggie, I want like for a 5-year-old, what's marketing and branding? Because if I started going like from some expert language, trying to explain to you what's marketing and branding, what would I do? Just confuse you more. And a confused mind always says no, right? So
mm-hmm,
if you talk to your clients from your expert level, thinking that we have that bias, right? Like whatever we are experts in, we think everybody knows the same thing, and that's not
right. Yep.
true. And our clients definitely not, because that's why they need us, right? So learning to communicate in a way that they understand, simple and clearly and doably and so on, right? And that's hard to do. You actually need to be
Mm-hmm.
an expert to be able to break down complex concepts into simple sort of terms. right? But those skills like listening and communication will help you as you grow your business and you start having a team, and then you need to listen to them and communicate clearly with them and so on, right? So having that belief, and also, as I said like earlier, have that humility that I also there will be things you need to learn, right? And going there and growing. Like if you think about, the biggest names in whatever industry you're in, they all have growth mindset. They all keep learning. They never stop, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
complacency is, a killer of success, really. You never want to be complacent, and you want to grow strategically, again, knowing where do I want to go, what do I do, and so on.
Absolutely. As I said before, I think I have an episode about this as well in the podcast as well, where it talks about that growth only comes outside of the comfort zone. Like if you
Yes.
want to do any kind of
Yes.
growth whatsoever, you have to leave this tiny little bubble that you're
Yeah.
very comfortable with. You have to leave it.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when I was back in college, I had a professor, not talking about this topic, but it's a similar concept, right? He says like if you can imagine all of human knowledge is in one little circle, right?
Mhm.
All human knowledge that we know about everything and anything is in one circle. What a PhD does for you is literally make a little dimple in that circle. So it just gently pushes on that circle to extend the realm of human knowledge that we know.
Mhm.
And in the same way,
Mhm.
I'm not saying go get a PhD, but in the same way, what I'm saying is that if you want to expand your circle and become better at something, you have to start with that little dimple. You
Yeah.
have to start pushing out of that comfort zone of what you know and what you're comfortable with, and then start pushing yourself out there, doing a little bit more here, doing a little bit more there. It doesn't have to be go talk to 20 people and get rejected by 20 people with your sales pitch. It could be start with one, start with two, start with three
Yeah.
people. Just basic, something super simple. Bring it up in conversation. Hey, are you interested in such and such and such? Oh,
Mhm.
no, not at this time. Okay, well, thanks for your time anyway. And you keep it stepping. You keep it moving. There you
Mhm.
go. It can start as that simple. Next thing you know, you do that for a couple months, you start getting more of the social confidence to talk to more people. And next thing you know, you're
Yes.
talking, instead of talking to three people, you're talking to 5, 10,
Mhm.
15, 20. And now, because
Exactly.
you're simply increasing the volume of people that you're talking to, now you're more likely to get a yes. And then once you get
Mhm.
that first yes, boom, now your confidence shot through the roof. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh, I got one, I can keep getting more. And so then you tailor it back, and you see, okay, what worked in this scenario? And you're analyzing, you figure out what works, and you try it out with other people. Then you start fine-tuning everything, and it just becomes a big positive domino effect
Yeah.
from there.
Yeah. Yeah. And you have a great point. That's the thing. Once you start doing things and you're putting yourself out there, your capacity, your confidence grows, right? And as it grows, you do more and more. And as you say, you get a result. And now you're seeing the results. So you're even more inclined to keep going and so on. So it definitely starts with, I believe I can do it. What I have right now is enough. Let me start taking action.
Thank you for saying that. I appreciate that greatly, because all the listeners know I love to say those two words. Take action. You literally can't do anything. That you can't change anything if you don't take any action. You can have
Yes.
all the knowledge up here that you
Mhm.
want, but if that knowledge isn't going anywhere into any kind of action,
Yeah.
it's not gonna it's basically useless, right? And then
Mhm.
that kind of actually brings me to the last point I wanted to talk to about, so we can just gently touch upon it, is your coaching model, the
Yeah.
dream plan do coaching model, right?
Yes.
It sounds really cool, and I've never heard of that saying before, so you should definitely trademark that. But
I will. Yeah. That's the
the
plan. That's the plan.
awesome. The dream plan do, because I saw the do and I'm like, that sounds like action. So if you just want to
Yeah.
gently
Yeah.
touch upon your coaching model,
Yeah.
that'll be really, really cool.
Okay. Yeah. So quickly. Yeah. Dream, because again, everything starts in our head, right? When we believe that we can do something and we start having thoughts from that belief, it will come to ideas, right? That we can actually implement. But before we start implementing, the plan is that a little bit intentionally. Okay. So now
Hmm.
I know what I want to do. I have a great idea. I believe in it. Let me figure out how to get there So I can not just throw myself, and that's a lot of people do it. They have an idea, they throw themselves in it, right? They quit the job and now, oh, I can't pay the bills. And now they're like, oh, therefore I suck and that will never work. And they go back to 9 to 5 without even giving a chance to the idea, right? So spend a little bit of time planning it. And it could be just making intentional decisions. If the decision is small, it could be 5 minutes. Okay, why do I want to make that decision? What are the pros and cons? What are the reasons for, okay, I'm leaning towards this. Do I love my reasons? Yes, I do. Let's go. Right? Sometimes it might be a little bit more. Okay, I want to make this decision, like starting a business, but I don't know if it's going to work. Okay, but this is the idea I have. Let me do a bit of market research. As you say, right? Go and talk to the people, blah, 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 find out more, make a decision, right? So that planning allows you to be more strategic with your action, be more proactive, be more productive with your time, and really get you to think about different aspects, right? From different perspectives. And then doing, as you say, nothing happens without doing. But when you planned it, then your execution can be so much more effective, right? It can be so much better and you can get faster results. So when you do, and then as you do, you evaluate, then it's, you do have a bigger impact. You get to your goal faster.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you have high performance habits, it's even faster.
There we go. Look at
When
that.
you implement.
See how it all just ties together so
Yeah.
beautifully. It's just like a perfect marriage made in heaven. It's just you add the high performance habits. You get those cultivating, you get those rolling, which changes your
Mhm.
mindset. Which naturally, when you make those high performance habits changes, some of those naturally become more inclined to you
Yes.
becoming more leadership based. And then when you do more leadership based things, if you already had an idea of starting your own business or doing your own thing on the side, now you're able to start doing that. And then because you already
Yes.
had those habits, this whole time, those habits that you incorporated from before you even started are
Mhm.
continually just being ingrained into you. And
Yes.
then when those naturally start coming out, you naturally start being seen as a leader and as a big, strong person in whatever field
Yeah.
that you're in. And then when we talked about the branding and marketing, then when you start marketing and you start putting your ideas or whatever it is into a brand of whatever it may be, and you start marketing that, those traits that you've been working on for months and years then start coming out. And as Maggie said, some things how you speak, certain words that you say, they come off in a certain tonality. You sound like a
Mhm.
leader in this field. And now
Mhm.
people are like, I want to
Mhm.
follow that guy or I want to follow that girl because
Yeah.
that person sounds like they actually know what they're talking about and I can get behind what they're saying. And boom, there you go.
Yep.
Now I'm not saying it's easy because it certainly isn't easy because we spent a whole hour trying to talk to you all about these different kind of steps you need to take, but at least the path to get there is simple to understand, right? It's simple to understand.
Mhm.
It's not easy. I mean,
Mhm.
Maggie can definitely attest to this. It'll take months, sometimes years for you to get to these kind of phases, but all you have to do is start with the small things. And one of the smallest little things you can do is, as we said all the way back in the beginning, make your goal crystal clear.
Clear.
And once
Yes.
you have that crystal clear goal, boom, now you're off to the races.
That's right. That's right. Just take action, small action. And think about it this way. It might not be easy, but it's so rewarding and fulfilling when you're creating something. And then on the other hand, you will 100%, reap the benefits of it, right? As opposed to living a life that you're not really like happy with. And it might be easy on terms of effort, but not easy on the mental state, right? Because you're truly, when you're not happy, it just weighs on you and then you have results that you want. So, like, you know, what's easier, really?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I'm gonna leave it at that. So let you all sit on that, think about it, marinate, ponder, whatever you got to do. So I want to bring this episode to a close now. Thank you so much, Maggie, for coming on the show and bestowing your wealth of knowledge to us. But before we go, I have to ask you the iconic question that I ask all the other guests as well. Okay. So let's just say somebody just woke up, right? We've been
Mhm.
recording for a little over an hour now, right? Someone just
Okay.
woke up, they got the saliva off the side, they're wiping off the crust off the side and everything. They're just like, oh my gosh, I just woke up. I don't want to listen to this entire episode again because it's a lot of content. What is one thing that you can give the listeners, whether you said it before or something new that you want to bestow upon them now? What is one thing they can walk away from this episode learning and something actionable they can do?
Okay, one thing, and you mentioned on that, and I just want to emphasize being a leader. You already are a leader because you have a life to lead. You're leading yourself, right? So be the best you can be. And with that, you can lead a business very successfully. You can lead a team very successfully, your community, whatever else you want to lead. But believe in yourself and take action. Plan and take action.
There we go. There we go, guys. See, it's not just I'm telling you, taking action. It's so simple. It's not easy, but it's so simple. Just take action, crystal clear
Yes,
goal, and then be off on the races. All right,
that's right.
Maggie, before we let you go, one more thing. What is your call to action, right? We've been talking for an hour or so. What do you want people to do after this episode? Where do you want people to go? What links do you want people to click on? Where do you want people to find out more about you? The floor is yours to open it up to whatever you have to whatever you want people to come and find you on these worldwide interwebs here.
Okay, so I guess the best way to find me and learn more, like holistically, what I do is my website, stairwaytoleadership.com. So it's one word, stairwaytoleadership.com. If you're more interested about what I'm all about as a business coach, I have a podcast that's called Diamond Effect. And in there, you'll learn more about my approach to business and how I think about it.
All right. And guys, the links to those things will be in this episode's description, whether you're watching it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor,
Yes.
Google Podcasts, Stitch, wherever you're listening to this podcast. All those links will be down there in the description. So you all go ahead and click on those and go find out more information. So with that, Maggie, thank you so much for coming on the show. I appreciate it greatly. Listeners, thank you so much for tuning into another episode of the Motivate Grind Succeed podcast. I'm your host, Rashawn, and I will see you all when I see you all in the next episode. Take care, guys.
Thank you, Rashawn, for having me. Thank you, everybody, for listening. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. Take care.